Well, the prices of everything are skyrocketing. And I'm sure you've noticed that everywhere you go, you look at your bill and you think, wow, has it always been that expensive? I mean, if you go out to eat, if you go to a fast food place, I mean, even if you go buy a dozen eggs, I think we bought 18 eggs and they were kind of the cheap eggs. And it was like $7 for 18 eggs. And so we're starting to feel the crunch of the higher cost of everything. And by the way, leave a comment if you think the quality of stuff, even though it costs more money, the quality suffers. I mean, the quality sucks. Let's be honest, right? It seems like we're getting less quality and having to pay more for it. Hey, everybody, David Burns, good to be with you today. Thanks for joining me. Just like everything else, beekeeping is not cheap. And for the most part, beekeeping costs a lot of money. Now, there are some ways that you can cut corners in beekeeping. We'll talk about that. But let's talk about the fact that if you're getting started in beekeeping, that if you do it the right way, it's really hard to shave corners. Now, there are two ways that beekeeping can be more affordable. And one of them is that you can build your own equipment. And the second one is you can get your own bees. So far, so good. It's like free bees. And I want to talk about that today because I know some of you probably want to get into beekeeping and you've looked at it's this sticker shock price of what it costs to buy a beehive, what it costs to buy bees, and maybe you just don't have the money to fund this kind of a hobby. And so you'd like to cut corners. So we'll talk about that. But before we do, there's also an expense in beekeeping that you'll never get away from. There's no way. And that is things like treatments. I mean, to treat your bees for the Varroa destructor mite, treatments are expensive. You can cut corners, right? You can buy something like Formic Pro, it's pretty pricey. You can buy Viroxan, pretty pricey. And so a lot of people think, okay, I can go with oxalic acid, oxalic crystals. They're not going to hurt me too bad. But then you got to buy, pay several $100s for a vaporizer to vaporize those crystals. So kind of no matter how you look at it, if you're going to really keep your bees healthy, you're going to have to pay money for treatments. And the second thing you just can't get around, I don't think. I mean, leave a comment if you think I'm wrong, but I don't think you can get around paying a lot of money for extracting equipment. You got to pay for your extractor. You want it to be made nicely out of stainless steel. And that's a price tag that's pretty crazy to get a really nice, big whopper dopper kind of an extractor. It can cost thousands of dollars for some jars of honey. Now, of course, you can buy smaller ones. And again, you can cut corners. A lot of these things, now I know some of my audience doesn't like it when you can see inexpensive beekeeping stuff on Amazon. But it's there, and some people like to cut corners. And so you can buy cheap extractors, inexpensive extractors on Amazon, or you can buy the US American-made big-time extractors, and you can pay big-time money for it. It just depends on your pocketbook and your philosophy of quality of stuff that you want to buy for beekeeping, because all that can be changed. But there are two areas that you really can cut corners. And let's talk about the first one, building your own equipment. Now, can you build your own equipment? I'm talking about bee boxes. I'm talking about bottom boards, top covers, inner covers. And let's talk about the frames. Every beehive is going to have at least 10 frames if you have a single deep, 10 more frames if you put a honey super on it. It can have as many as 40 frames. If you have 2 deeps and 2 supers, you got 40 frames. Does anybody really want to build frames? I used to build all my frames. We actually manufactured beekeeping equipment, so we even built our own frames. And it is very, very tedious work. But here's the deal. Let's be honest. It's not going to really pay off if you don't have carpenter skills and you don't have carpentry equipment, tools like table saws, nice equipment. If you have to go out and buy a table saw and you have to buy tools, glue, nails, staple, if you're going to do that, is that going to be cost effective? And I'll tell you a secret, what I found about table saw, just my opinion. If you try to be skimpy and you buy a really inexpensive, cheap table saw, I think those are extremely dangerous. Number one, they're a little more flimsy, they're rickety, they're dangerous because your fingers are pushing boards through, and sometimes the slides act different, and it's just scary for me to ever use a real cheap table saw. And a bind, if you're not doing it regularly, you just need to cut a 2x4 or something like that, I understand it. A nice table saw that you're going to be safe and you're going to have a good feel about it, it's going to cost you Nowadays, probably a couple of grand to get into the low end of one. And so does it really pay to spend thousands of dollars on carpentry tools so that you can build a bee box, a beehive? So unless you're already a carpenter, that's not going to work out. Now, confession time. Leave a comment if this sounds like you. Before I talk about how we live in such a throwaway world where you just throw away everything that you buy after it's worn out, buy a new one. Oh, that kills me. But before I talk about that, let me encourage you guys to subscribe to my channel. I got a lot more coming up on this video. Subscribe. That way you'll be notified each time I make a new video. Doesn't cost you anything. And a lot of you are subscribing. We've almost got 159,000 subscribers. So I appreciate it a bunch. Let's keep talking about how to save money in beekeeping. When I was a kid, I took shop class in junior high. I was raised by a dad that taught me how to do absolutely everything. He insisted that we learned how to use every tool, the name of every tool, properly handle saws, drills, everything, right? And so I grew up knowing how to handle stuff and work with things. It came easier for me. I took shop class in junior high. Isn't that crazy? What happened to shop class? Who's upset about this? I am. I think shop class is coming back to a few schools. I've heard people say it is, but I know a lot of times shop class, by the way, if you don't know what shop class is, it's a class you can take in school, even high school, where they teach you, like we were taught welding, we were taught woodworking, some electricity. I mean, just your, stuff that we need to know. But I saw it go away. And so a lot of times people don't have these very common practical skills to do things like this, because in our society, we've moved away from some of the trades like that. We've moved heavily, especially in education, I think, to get people involved in academia. So people are more involved in computer. You're doing this instead of sawing boards. You're involved in technology rather than actually doing work with your hands. And I think that's a big disappointment, personally. I personally think, and that's what I love about beekeeping so much. You're out in nature, you're working with your hands, you're learning, you're using your skills to keep your woodworking equipment, all your things out in the yard up to date and repairing broken boxes. So I think beekeeping is great that way. I'm really disappointed that less and less people still today, I think, fail to see the value in being able to work with your hands and take pride and working and building things like bee boxes and beehives. Now, I get it. I'm not hating on anybody. I'm the first to take a shortcut because my time is valuable. And I'll be honest, last year, I did buy quite a few assembled deeps and supers because I make a lot of videos and it takes a little bit too much time in the shop to go out there and keep building boxes and frames especially. I get that. And you may be the same way, especially if it's a hobby. You just need one beehive and you got the money, it kind of makes sense to buy stuff, doesn't it? So for you, maybe building your own equipment is out because maybe you live in an apartment, you don't have access to, all the tools to build your beekeeping equipment. I have heard people hate on other people that don't build their own equipment. Because way back when I started almost 30 years ago, there was no assembled equipment. You had to build your own boxes. Now, it was already cut for you. Big beekeeping stores had your stuff unassembled. You just had to follow the instructions, glue it, and they sent you nails, you could assemble it. I mean, that's how we all did it back then. But I think the one thing that we can really save some money on are the bees. Now, I do sell packages of bees. I do sell nucleuses of bees, 5-frame nukes every spring. And I love for people to buy packages of nukes from me. However, hey, I get it. You want to save a buck? All right, here's a way to do it. Let's talk about free bees. How can you get free bees? There's several ways I think that it's possible that you can get free bees. Now, if you're new to beekeeping, I think this is going to be a challenge for you unless you are a real outdoorsy type person and you already have a good understanding of bees and trapping or catching bees and swarms and all. But if you're brand new starting out, and let's face it, it's fine if you're not really into beekeeping, but you want to get into beekeeping and you're just jumping in with both feet with limited experience or knowledge, all of us do, it's fine. I get it. I'm just saying this may not work for you. But if you do have some experience, here's how you can save money on bees. First, you can catch swarms. Now, let's talk about swarms. What's a swarm? For those of you that are brand new to beekeeping, maybe 2025 or 2026, whenever you're watching this video, whatever spring is and you're new to beekeeping, here's the deal. A colony that makes it through winter, a healthy colony every spring is going to want to swarm. That's when half of the colony leaves with their original queen to form a new colony. It's actually reproduction. This is how bees reproduce, make another hive. Back home, the other half raises a new queen from a fertilized egg, and she goes out and gets mated and starts laying. And so now those are two separate colonies living in two different places. The two will never get along in the future should they ever be reunited. They are distinctly different colonies now. So that swarm goes somewhere until it finds its, I guess, its final nesting place. It is called a bivouac. It's a place where this swarm kind of hangs out until they all decide what tree they want to live in permanently. Now, sometimes that bivouac, that swarm, you've seen pictures maybe, I'll try to show one here, but that swarm is going to hang out for an hour or a day until they finally go to where they want to go. While they're in that hanging position, that bivouac position, that's when a beekeeper can go over with a 5-frame nuke or a deep box or something, and you can shake that swarm down into your box for free. And the way you do this is you got to get your name out there. Here's the deal. Get a pen and paper. If this really is something you want to do, or you're good at it or something, or you want to try it, you can put your name out to a police station, fire departments, because they're the ones that get calls about swarms, pest control company. Absolutely huge, because most pest control companies are not licensed or they don't feel comfortable dealing with honeybees. They don't want to kill honeybees, and I don't think they can. I don't think it's legal on somebody else's property. So they're going to want a beekeeper to get them. So get your name to pest control companies, Terminex, whatever they are, Orkin, get it out there, local pest control companies. Let them call you when they have a swarm, and you can go get it. You can get those bees for free. I found too, put your name in the big box store like Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards. This is where a lot of builders are, and the builders are actually contractors. So they're doing work on homes. They're putting roofs on homes. They're putting siding on homes. And so when they get to a home and they're putting up the siding and there's the bees, guess what construction workers do that aren't beekeepers? It's over. They're gone, right? They're just like, hey, until you get your bees done, no more roofing for us. And so the homeowner may not know what to do, but if your name is at these big construction company stores where they buy their products, then I saw a name of a guy down at Lowe's or Menards or something on a board somewhere, and here, call him or something. I've actually, back when I was doing this heavily, removing bees from homes, I had nice I'll say it right, flyers made up, and left them all with all the places I just mentioned. That's a great way that you can get established as a swarm retrieval person. And you can get, really in the spring, all the bees you want. I mean, seriously, it is crazy. Bees swarm a lot. You go get those swarms, and those are free bees. Another way that you can get free bees, and a lot of people are really good at this, and it's catching swarms in swarm traps. Now, it's a simple thing. You just simply get a trap. Most big bee companies like Man Lake, Daydamp, Better Bee, they're going to sell you swarm traps. I'm sure you can buy them on Amazon. And you put these traps up in the tree or along a fence row where you think there's going to be swarms or where there has been known swarms. You put these traps up. You can use a chemical smell like Swarm Commander, and it's kind of like a lemony smell that goes inside there just a little bit. And the bees will be searching out a home, and they'll smell that, go in there, measure it with their little engineering brains, and they will decide that's going to be a good place to swarm into. And you can check your swarms. It's like putting fish bait lines out on a lake or a river and going back and checking your lines. You just go and check your swarm trap, see if you caught a swarm. And that's another great way to do all of this. But I do want to caution you that it may not be in your best interest to cut corners in beekeeping. I really don't think it is. Believe me, you're talking to one of the biggest corner cutters around. And in beekeeping, early in my beekeeping career endeavors, I had to cut corners because I was broke. I didn't have a nickel to rub against a nickel. I mean, it was that poor. I didn't have the money to put into anything. I made my own stuff. I caught my own bees. I had to. So the deal is, now, if you're going to really go into beekeeping, trying to do it as cheap as you can, it's going to come back and you're going to regret it. I mean, you're going to buy cheap things that aren't going to last long. Let's talk about free shipping, can we? All right, let's be honest. If you're new to this concept of free shipping, let me tell you how it works. It ain't free, people. All right, come on. I know what it's like to ship stuff. I know, and the bigger your company is, the more these shipping companies will give you a discount. But they're not going to deliver things for nothing. So what does the company do that you're buying that free shipping item from, hey, I got news for you. They're jacking up the price to cover their butt and offering you free shipping. Now there's algorithms that they use, and they know that it's a win-win situation because eventually, it's all going to balance out to where they're making money. But what it is, they're jacking the price up. Here's what my dad taught me a long time ago. David, if something says it's free, it's not. You know what I mean? If this deal is too good to be true, then say it with me, then it's too good to be true. Am I right? Come on. Free shipping just means you're going to pay shipping. I've hidden it in the cost of the product you're buying. That's kind of what it means. And so you got to think that through too. I've actually started buying things through different companies, directly from companies that don't offer free shipping because it's cheaper, because sometimes they're located near me, the shipping isn't all that bad, and I don't have to pay the extended price to get free shipping. So, you got to realize if you're going to cut corners like that, I really think if you can, it's better to get better quality beehives. And they'll last you longer, and if you stay with this a long time, you don't want to have to replace the bottom board or top cover or the boxes because they rotted away. I've made a lot of videos because I've got boxes I've been keeping bees, like I said, started 30 years ago, but I've got boxes I bet are every bit of 50 years old or older. Boxes, no kidding, because I bought out older beekeepers. And so let me be honest though, I've burned a ton of bee boxes. They rotted away, absolutely. Even though they were taken care of and painted and all that, sure, they just get old. Wood is not gonna last forever. Depends on your climate too. So there you go. That's my thoughts on how you can save money in beekeeping. But I want to let you know up front, not going to pull any strings with you. Beekeeping is a very expensive hobby. It's cheaper than some hobbies. You don't have to buy a bass boat. You don't have to buy a whole set of new golf clubs, if that's your hobby or something. But on the other hand, beekeeping, if you have money, you can spend a lot of money in beekeeping. And guess who would love for you to buy things in beekeeping? It is the vendors. Vendors are actually producing a lot of equipment today, and they'd love to have your business, and they're trying to attract new beginners new beekeepers to buy the things that they would love you to buy to support their stores and all. So just go into this with a little more research, understand how you can save money. And if you're doing this to make money, you're going to spend a lot of money up front. So I just want to be honest with you. You've got to buy your equipment, your suits, your hive tools, your extracting equipment, your boxes. And if your bees do really well, they demand to be in more boxes. So you might buy a $300 or $500 beehive, a kit or something, and all they have to do is swarm one time. You got to buy another $300 or $500 kit to put that swarm into. Now you got 2 hives, but it's costing you $800 to $1,000 of woodenware, not counting all the other little tools. And so I want you to have fun. I don't want you to have sticker shock. It's pricey out there today. Just as everything else has gone up, so is beekeeping. Another way that you can save money is by watching my live stream every Thursday night. If you're watching this video when it comes out today, it's Thursday. Tonight, I'm looking forward to talking to you guys and sharing a teaching. And here's how you can save money watching my live stream. We have giveaways. Oftentimes, we give away online courses. We give away beekeeping equipment. And so if you're on the live stream and you win something, then you're saving money because you don't have to buy that. So check out my live stream. Join me tonight. I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be super. In the middle of the winter, toward the end of the winter, it's when most bees die. Are your bees going to die? Are they going to be dead? I've made a video on why bees die in late winter and what you can do to maybe save your hive before it's too late. Check that video out right here. See you guys over there.